Hello and welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas. I hope we find you well. Gab Marcotti, Sid Lowe and Craig Burley joining me on today's show. We'll start, though, with news how the coronavirus is affecting football around the world. And it's all talk, isn't it, about when things can get restarted. Let's go league by league, shall we? Starting off with the Bundesliga. Now, they plan to resume the season in early May. Now, that's behind closed doors and finish before June 30th. Meanwhile, in Italy, hopes to have the players back at training by May the 4th. Meanwhile, the Championship advises clubs not to return to training until May 16th. Hopes to restart the season in June. Now, a report saying that UEFA hopes to finish competitions during a 3-week block in August. More on that a little later on. In Ligue 1, planning to resume season on June the 17th. Well, let's welcome in Gab Marcotti to talk about some of those subjects. I want to start with the Bundesliga. I listened to your podcast that dropped today. Jana Fjontov, the special guest, talking about this optimism around the Bundesliga, trying to get it back as soon as possible. How realistic is that, Gab?
Well, look, I mean, as you know, in Germany, they have the most resources, certainly in Europe, to go and fight this, both in terms of ICU capacity, in terms of testing. They have the most money. They're pretty confident that they can go and do this. They figure they're going to allow about 240 people in per game in both the top flight and the second division. They're going to test everybody every 3 days. I worked out it's going to be round about 100,000 tests, just under, over the 2 months. But as Jan Fjortov pointed out, he's like, there's two big stakeholders that are going to have a say in this that haven't told us what they think yet. One is the government, who have not expressed a view on this yet, and that remains to be seen whether they can do it. And second, of course, is the virus itself, because we have no idea what it's going to do. So they have a plan in place, but I think it's too early to see whether they can bring it to fruition.
Meanwhile, Italy looking to get training back May the 4th, Gab.
Yeah, the thinking is come back May the 4th. Gravina, the Italian FA president, he laid out a plan. There is some opposition to this, not least from the Italian Olympic Committee, from which the FA is actually it's sort of underneath it in terms of authority. Conflicting views from the government as well, with the Minister of Sport saying, well, that's a possibility, and the health ministry saying, whoa, let's pump the brakes there. So this is all, I think, very much up in the air. They would like to at least go back to training in early May and then see where they are. But the first step is they have to go and test everybody, and I think you can probably budget a good 3 or 4 days to go and test every player, staff member, coach, and so on in and around the 20 Serie A teams.
Meanwhile, Gab, it's the first time I've heard of this. UEFA want all the domestic competitions done by the end of July, and then August will be about the Champions League. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, this UEFA want this, UEFA want that. UEFA's made it very clear. They're not going to stand in anybody's way. And, you know, if leagues need to finish first, they're going to finish first. However, one of the key things about UEFA, obviously, that you have to remember is there will still likely be restrictions on travel for a long time, even after the lockdown ends, even after we can go and play behind closed doors. So UEFA is saying, okay, you guys finish things up domestically, where presumably restrictions on travel will be eased first, and then we'll come in at the end of it. This is one scenario of them coming in when the leagues have wrapped up. They want to be they want to minimize the disruption, so to speak. And this is one scenario that's out there. They're talking to the European Clubs Association, but nothing has been decided yet as far as UEFA are concerned.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.